You think Ray Dalio rejected your idea because it wasn't good enough, but that's almost never what actually happens. By the time you finished explaining your vision, Dalio had already classified you as an unpredictable variable inside his decision-making system. You believed you were pitching a billionaire investor. You were actually trying to communicate with a filtering architecture that processes reality before it ever evaluates the person delivering it. Here's the structural breakdown with tangible, actionable advice baked in. The public reads Dalio as supremely confident, calm, and unbothered, a man so certain of his models that nothing rattles him. Believe it or not, that read is operationally backwards. Dalio's elongated, graceful appearance indicates that the primary motivational driver is abstract processing, theoretical systematization, and an obsessive need to build intellectual frameworks that protect him from chaotic, unpredictable variance. This is very different from other operators we've covered, such as Alex Hormozi or Jamie Dimon, reinforcing how crucial it is that you know the baseline architecture of who you're working with in high-stakes interactions. The deep-set eyes and compressed brow lines signal frontal retraction, an inward cognitive defense mechanism with a highly restricted threshold for environmental overstimulation. Dalio is calm because he built a machine to absorb his fear for him, not because he's actually fearless. Dalio's public-facing mask is broad, expansive, and moralistic. This projects the image of an open, benevolent patriarch, but the left side of his face tells a different story. The eye is hooded, the tissue sags, the expression flattens into something exhausted, retracted, deeply suspicious. The mask is generosity. The core is paranoia. In reality, Dalio is not evaluating you. He is running you through a filter. Now cross-reference that structure against 4 decades of documented behavior. The morphology suggests impulsivity, a sloping forehead and chin that typically correlate with short-term kinetic bursts and an inability to sustain long-range theoretical patience, but that reading completely fails against the behavioral record. This is a man who spent 40 years writing down every mistake he ever made, distilling them into immutable principles, building a mathematical algorithm to bypass human ego in management decisions. That is not impatience. That is extreme long-range structural endurance. And so proceeding from that observation, the markers indicating impatience are not applicable to his processing style, but rather to anything that threatens to slow the machine down. His 40-year journaling practice did not emerge from confidence. He openly admits to a profound fear of being wrong. The entire architecture, the radical transparency protocols, the believability-weighted decision frameworks, the obsessive historical pattern matching exist to protect a deeply paranoid internal core from the terror of unquantifiable chaos. When he says reality is a gorgeous machine, he is not expressing wonder. He is expressing relief that the machine exists and can be trusted more than his own vulnerable judgment. Here's exactly where the average operator in Dalio's world of sales or investing will make a crucial error. Most will approach someone like Dalio using the same frameworks that work on conventional executives, such as polishing the narrative, building rapport, or demonstrating vision and strategic confidence. Every one of those moves is structurally catastrophic with a Ray Dalio. The first detonation point is consensus building, attempting to establish harmony before the substance, seeking agreement on the relationship before establishing the idea, immediately triggers his suspicion. He spent years publicly labeling interpersonal diplomacy as dishonest and dysfunctional. The moment you optimize for social comfort over objective truth, you become environmental noise. The second failure is presenting unanchored novelty, framing your idea as entirely unprecedented, completely outside existing frameworks, a unique opportunity. This activates his worst structural fear. His entire operating system is built around the recognition that history rhymes. If your concept cannot be translated into a historical iteration or a repeatable cycle, it does not exist as a credible input. It exists as chaos. And chaos is what his machine was built to eliminate. The third and most counterintuitive failure is softening your delivery, hedging, using qualifiers, or protecting his feelings. Dalio's communicative baseline is flat, withholding, blunt. He demands the same from every operator in his environment. The moment he detects that you are managing his emotional response rather than delivering the unvarnished truth, he concludes you are hiding something. The paranoia activates and the trust collapses. Now, before the tactical breakdown of what works, if you need to identify which of 4 behavioral architectures you're actually dealing with before a high-stakes interaction, there is a free brief available now. 4 foundational behavioral baselines, immediate PDF delivery. Link is in the description. You'll never view another interaction the same. Now for 3 asymmetric plays that gain you leverage with Ray Dalio. First, the radical truth opening. Do not introduce yourself. Do not build context. Open with a blunt, unvarnished critique of a specific inefficiency in whatever you are discussing, a single structural flaw, stated without softening, without qualification. This immediately signals that you operate inside his preferred paradigm of emotionless transparency. His suspicion drops, his engagement activates. You have bypassed the perimeter filter in the first 30 seconds. Second, archetypal framing. Whatever you are presenting, do not frame it as new. Frame it as the inevitable next iteration of a specific historical cycle. Name the cycle, reference the rhyme. This follows the same structural mechanics as the 1998 currency crisis. Here is exactly where the deviation occurs. Ray Dalio does not need to evaluate novel ideas. He needs to categorize familiar patterns. Give him the category and he will adopt your premise as a structural upgrade to his existing machine. Third, the adversarial self-critique. Before he finds the flaw in your argument, find it yourself. State it explicitly, then deliver the mathematical patch. The model breaks under this specific stress condition. The corrected variable requires this adjustment. Dalio is naturally suspicious. By demonstrating that you share his paranoid, low-trust view of systems and that you hunt for failure points before they surface, you force a categorization of high-competence alignment. He trusts operators who distrust clean narratives. These 3 plays are calibrated to this specific architecture. Running them on a different cognitive profile is like walking on a minefield. They may work or blow up in your face. If you have a real target in your life, a senior decision maker, a high-value investor, a difficult superior whose operating system you cannot crack, the Strata protocol extracts their exact behavioral fingerprint, morphological structure, behavioral history, pressure responses, synthesized into a tactical dossier within 48 hours directly to your email. Link is in the description. Stratintel.io. The operators who close the gap between instinct and precision are the ones who stop assuming everyone thinks exactly the way they do. You can't afford to be the last one to figure that out.